Welcome back to Chop's Garage, everyone. Straight into it this morning. We have got the parts here for the Zafira. I don't know if I covered it in an earlier video, so I got the Zafira in and it sold within 24 hours of listing it. I listed it for 2,995, sold it for 2,900 with the existing MOT on it. There's a couple of things from the MOT there that I wanted to do that were advisories. Rear discs and pads, which I'm not quite sure. On the MOT they said they were borderline, but they're really bad now actually, so they definitely need replacing. And they mentioned that the front subframe was crusty, so I'm going to get underneath, wire brush that, coat that as well. And there were a couple of tyres which are borderline last MOT which I want to change, so I'm going to do a couple of tyres, clean up subframe, rust proof that, change the rear disc and pads. I think the other advisories were for bushings being a little worn. Not overly concerned with that. I've driven the car, there's no knocks or bangs, and it handles well, and it needs a tracking doing as well. I need to get the tracking sorted on it. So yeah, got to crack on, get on with that today, and yeah, hopefully get that closed off this morning without too many dramas. Oh, and then I'm going to service it, so I've got the oil and oil filters there as well, so I'm going to give it a service as well. So actually quite a lot to be getting on with. Let's get in, get jacked up and get started. One quick thing on the Zafira, a lot of you were concerned about recalls for these, for them setting themselves on fire due to the heater matrix, I think it was. I've checked this one, it's got no outstanding recalls on it, so we should be good on that front. But yeah, thanks for pointing it out, it's worth checking. So anyway, let's get cracking. First rear wheel off, we can see very scored disc, very scored, and 0 brake pads. They've been driving on, you know, no brake pads, so definitely caught this in time. I'm surprised it wasn't that long ago it was MOT that got away with it, to be honest. But we'll whip that off and change it all out. So what I like to do on this stuff before I get going, which I'm probably teaching you a lot to suck eggs, is get the wire brush in there and wire brush around everything that I'm going to be taking off, and then give it some WD-40 or similar, have a brew, and then come back and do it. And it just saves you a lot of fighting to get bolts off. It all comes off a lot smoother and goes back together a lot nicer, so it's worth spending a little bit of time doing that. I'm waiting on the caliper wind back kit for the Zafira because I haven't got one, and I need one to do it. I suspect that this caliper's seized. I may end up having to replace that one because the actual disc and pads on this side aren't too bad at all. On this side, one pad is completely destroyed and the other is bad but still got lots of meat on it, so I think the caliper's seized, but I won't know until I get the wind back kit on it, just to double check, see if it will go in and or out, and whether I can get it started to work again. So in between, I'm going to hit the Passat, clean it and stick it up for spares and repair. Weird thing is, no noise this morning at all. No noise. Moved it twice, no noise at all. So I don't know what the score is with that. So Passat's had a basic clean. Just a wash on the outside. It wasn't that dirty on the outside in the first place. I got it dirty driving, but it's actually come up really nice. Inside, all that staining on the seats has come out. Just use the old G101 and the brush, drill brush on it, and then just clean the plastics down. It's actually a really nice looking car. Really nice looking car. And the interior actually is really good. Although it had some of that staining on it, it hasn't got rips or tears or anything like that, or some burn holes. It's all actually in really good nick. It just needed a good clean. Oh, I missed a bit up there. Get onto that in a sec. Yeah, so what we'll do is photograph it now and put it up cheap and see if anybody's interested. If not, it'll go to auction. I know a lot of you said, oh, you know, why not do it yourself and swap it out for the caddy van and have this as a family run around. I actually really like my caddy van, and it's really practical and it's really helpful to have it around, and it's simpler to work on than this without having the DSG gearbox. So I've got two cars with 150,000 miles, 160,000 miles. If anything needs repairing on them, that's going to be a hell of a lot easier to work on. And we've got a big family car, so we don't really need another. But then obviously that might change if I struggle to get my money back out of this, in which case it might be worth doing. But no, I'm not going to do it because, like I said, I think it's about £1,000 to pay someone to do the clutch. I'm not brave enough to do it on this. So about £1,000 to do the clutch. So I'll be into the car for 3.2, and then it'll retail for what, 3.9, and then I've got the hassle of any comebacks. Whereas if I just sell it and get my money back out of it, I still make the profit on the 500 I should have made. And if I can make a couple more £100 on top just to make back what I gave them over allowance to help them get the alloy wheels, so if I can get 2.4 out of it, I'll be happy. So yeah, we'll get it listed and see what happens. So interesting, having finished cleaning up the Passat, I checked my phone. I had a message from the young lady that part exchanged it in, saying, what's the address, because I want to send down all the paperwork and the invoices now I'm back home, and to say that she'd left something in the car that she'd like me to post down to her. So I'm increasingly feeling that potentially she doesn't know what she did. At least she didn't know what she did and wasn't aware of it. Like a few of you said in the comments, I guess if you're not mechanically minded, if the noise went away, which it does, and like I say, today it's not made it at all, you could think that it was something unimportant, I guess. You certainly wouldn't, I wouldn't think you'd go out of your way to contact the dealer again if you'd knowingly stiffed them in some way or another. So hopefully some faith restored in humankind, that it was just an unfortunate one. So yeah, we'll see how it does selling as is, and take it from there. So guys, this is the Hyundai i10 that was in the earlier video, where I covered it with a lady. I offered her a bid on the car and she said, I'll take that because I'd rather it went to you than a dealer. And I then had the choice of whether I told her the truth or not, that I was a dealer, which I did. And then she said she wouldn't sell it to me. To which I turned around and said, well, how does that really work? You're saying you're worried about dodgy dealers, and there's a dealer here that's honest with you, and you turn around and say you won't do business with them. And then I got the message later on and said, actually, I will do it, do the deal with you. And I sent Adrian, and he picked it up for me from Wales. So what have we got? We've got a 2012 Hyundai i10 with 60,000 miles on it. It's a classic, so it's not the top spec one, but it is in really, really nice condition. It's in this metallic silver. All the wheel trims are in nice nick. Down the sides of the body's really good. There's no dents. There's no scratches. There's only one scratch on it, which I did as an idiot when I took the rear beam for the i20 home in it and didn't put something over the back of the bumper before I moved it. So that's entirely my fault. Other than that, it would have been mint. So I'm an idiot there straight away. But down this side it's straight, and again the wheel trims are in really good nick. Inside, the interior, it's a bit dark for you guys to be able to see, but the interior is all in fantastic condition. No problems at all with that. No rips, tears or burns. I've done my standard thing. I've taken it for a drive already. Done a number of miles and it drives sweetly. Sounds like all the Hyundai i10s I've ever had in. Drives the same as them. Nippy, light nippy fun. Let's have a look under the bonnet. Which is why I always recommend them to people. I know a lot of kids aren't going to go for them because they've got that old person look about them, but in this category, in this size of car, as those of you who watch the channel regularly know, this is one of my absolute faves. Engine bay is really nice and clean. The oil is super clean in it, which is to be expected because I was told it just had a service. I had a note in the book, in the paperwork, to say it just had a service. But this is where we run into a problem. So before I bought the car, I asked the lady, does it have a full service history? She said yes. It's my grand's car, it's got a full service history, no problem at all. Brilliant. So we made all the arrangements for the pickup of the vehicle, and Adrian brought it back down to me, and I looked through the books and I've got the handbooks for everything, but I've got no service book. So I messaged her and said, what's the score with the service book? She said, oh, yeah, it's got a full service book. I said, yeah, but I need the service book, otherwise that seriously affects the value of the vehicle. So she said, oh, I'll check with my gran. So she goes to her gran, I've got a message back saying, oh, the service book is with the garage that services it. I said, okay, give me the name of the garage. I'll ring them up and they can email me over, even if they just email me over to confirm the services that have happened in it, although I really would like the book. She said, oh, it's all right, I'll chase them up. I'll get it for you. So I waited 2 or 3 days and chased her up again, and she's still committed to doing it. So I think she's genuine that she will do it, but it's a real shame that the paperwork wasn't with the car. And also, I've just noticed this morning, I should have noticed earlier, I haven't actually got the logbook for it either. She's not put the logbook in there. So I think this is all down to the fact that she's dealing with it on behalf of her gran, and they obviously haven't got their act together and got the paperwork together. But it's interesting, isn't it? She talks about dodgy dealers not doing what they say they're going to do. If you tell someone a car's got a full service history, you really should provide it with a full service history, shouldn't you? So hopefully she's true to word and she gets that for me, because like I say, it will affect the value of the vehicle if I don't have the service history, although it's entirely obvious that it has been serviced. But I don't have the previous history on it, so that's a bit of a bummer. But hopefully it should sell quickly. Hyundai i10s do sell quickly. This hasn't got the largest margin in it. I paid decent money for it because they're just really hard to get hold of at the moment. I didn't want to buy some BCA crap cheap that I then ended up ploughing a load of money into it. At least on this one, if I don't make that much money out of it, I haven't actually put any time in it because it's got a new MOT, it's just been serviced, it's really clean, I don't need to do any paint work on it. So it's just one to just get in and out. And I always like to have one in stock because they're cracking little cars. Right, onto the service and to take out the 100 screws that Vauxhall decided was necessary to put an air filter in, rather than the likes of Hyundai who just give us a couple of clips, don't they? There we go. Not outrageously dirty, so it would indicate that it's been serviced slightly more regularly than it's been stamped in the book. But new one in, nice and clean. Well, I'll try and keep my dirty hands off it. Right, after a few interruptions and getting the new kit, I am back on the brakes. Yes, I know it's a terrible mess, but I'm one person trying to do 8 things at the moment. So yeah, got back on to this. So we've got the new disc on, we've got the new pads in. That caliper was very stuck, so I went back and forth on it. I think I've freed it up, so I think it should be good to go, but if it doesn't work out, I need to put a new caliper on there. The other side was free, that was okay. So we're putting the new pads in and the new discs on now, and then we've got to finish off the service because obviously I need to jack the front up to do the oil and filter. I've had a look at the subframe underneath the car, but I'll do a bit more video on it when I've got it jacked up. But the subframe looks really good to me, so I don't know what they're on about. I'll need to have a closer look at that. So that's discs and pads done both sides. Took me a little bit longer obviously because one, I didn't have the kit and I've not done them before, and that caliper had a sticky point which I worked back and forth. But I've worked the handbrake up a couple of times now and worked the foot brake a few times, and they've both got an even amount of drag on them, just a minor amount. There you go. So the caliper did come back out again, so we're okay on that front by the looks of it. But I'll put the wheels back on, drive it around a bit, but I'm going to do the oil and filter change on it first. Oil's just draining off. The old oil actually wasn't too bad, it wasn't horrendously dirty. So again, along with the air filter, indicates it probably had services not marked up in the book there. So we'll just wait for that to finish draining off, swap out the oil and take it for a quick drive and test that the handbrake and all the rear brakes are okay after the swap I did there. And then it's booked in with Phil down at Moore's, who's going to do the front tyres and the tracking for me tomorrow morning, and then I can give it a valet and the customer can pick her up. Fresh oil in. So I say just a quick test drive and then it's valet time and down to Phil's for the bits and bobs. So guys, we were not expecting this, were we? This is an email from Paul at the Bridgewater BCA with a form for me to fill out to receive my payment for the compensation on the Hyundai i20 with the bent beam. So if you don't know what I'm talking about here, you might need to go back and watch the previous video. But we got Hyundai i20 from BCA, turned up, wheel was at a natty angle on the rear of it. I had a report that told me that there was you know, chips on some of the wheels, there was some bad paintwork, a door handle didn't work, all those things, but none of it said the wheel's sticking out at an angle. And although I didn't have an assured report for it mechanically, I did have the report for the condition, and my argument was that's a condition issue. You can't go by that wheel and not point out it's got chips on it, but not point out it's bent. Now the clinch for me was with the Passat. I went to fill in the form to sell the Passat through BCA auction, and there is a box you tick to say that the car is roadworthy. And I am pretty sure a wheel at that angle on a car that crabs across the road is not roadworthy and not safe. So I knew that BCA had a case to go back to their vendor and reclaim the money back off of them. And that was the kicker for me. So I basically emailed Paul back and said, look, this is the pictures of the wheels, this is the issue, how much it's going to cost to repair it. And I would also point out to you that your vendor has a duty to give you a car that is roadworthy, and they haven't done that, so you've got a case against that. Now, I didn't go crazy. I didn't say, oh, I want loss of earnings, I want this, I want that, I want the other. I just said to him, I want a couple £100 to cover the cost of the beam, and I was through Scott £50 for helping me out every day fitting it, didn't I? And they agreed it. Now, yes, you could say that, you know, there's other things that you're due for that, but I think if you're sensible, guys, they'll be sensible. And I had a fair case, and I wasn't asking for the world. And I said to him, look, I bought stupid amounts of cars off you, and I've never put a claim in for anything. So I'm not one of these people that does it every 5 minutes. The wheel's bent on the car. It's unsafe to drive. And to be fair to Paul, he got all this done with each response from him was done within 24 hours. So massive thumbs up to the Bridgewater team again, BCA, they are cracking, and to Paul at Bridgewater, because he just dealt with me absolutely brilliantly. He didn't promise me anything from the beginning. I said that in my earlier video. He didn't promise me anything at all. He said he'd look at the case for me and see how he could help me out. He has said, I did say actually I'm losing out on the VAT here, and he's also said actually, well, I'll tell you what, I'll discount delivery for you as well to help you get some of that back. So you can't argue. I'm happy with that, and it also means I can now sell the car to the customer exactly at the price I said it to them, because I did say I might have to increase the price to allow for the extra work, but no, I can now sell it to the price I said. It's been down with Phil at Moore's Garage in South Molton, who's just been an absolute star as well, by the way, guys. He's lending me, you know, offering to lend me more tools and picking cars up and dropping them off. Highly recommended. But it's been down with him, and he has checked my work over and said it was okay. So I'm happy with that. He said all I need to do is bleed a brake a little bit. So that's good that my work was okay on that front. What else did he do to it? He changed a couple of brake lines out for me that were a bit crusty and put it through its MOT. So I think we've got an advisory-free MOT on that car now, and it's should be ready. I've got to get that one ready on Saturday along with the Zafira to get out to the lady if I can. Right, so that's done. Took the Zafira around. No graunch on the brakes anymore. Handbrake holds fine. It brakes fine. No horrible noises, anything like that. So it looks like I put it together right. Now I'm just going to clear up the almighty mess I've made today, jumping all over the place doing things, and try and get some content uploaded for you guys. So let's get cracking on that. That'll probably be it for the end of this video, because like I say, I'm going to go and do the content for you now. So anyway, thanks for watching as always, guys. Catch you again soon.